Your body launches a silent emergency the moment dehydration sets in, turning everyday life into a high-stakes battle for survival that most people never see coming. Picture this. You rise from bed after a long night, and your tongue scrapes like sandpaper across the roof of your mouth while a steady thud pounds at the base of your skull. Your arms and legs feel weighted down with lead, and every joint protests with a dull ache. This is no invading virus or sudden illness striking from outside. It is an internal drought, a full-scale crisis triggered by a critical shortage of water coursing through your system. What begins as subtle discomfort quickly escalates into something far more serious. The bloodstream thickens and becomes hypertonic as sodium levels climb higher. Osmotic pressure then pulls water straight from the spaces inside your cells to dilute the thickening blood. Those cells shrink like grapes left too long in the sun. The delicate folded structures of proteins inside them warp and twist. Enzymes that normally keep every cellular process running smoothly start to misfire because their watery environment has vanished. But that is only the beginning of the story, and the deeper mechanisms at work will change how you think about something as simple as reaching for a glass of water. Consider a typical day in the life of an American professional rushing through a busy schedule in a sun-baked city like Phoenix or a humid summer in New York. Maybe you skipped that extra bottle of water during back-to-back meetings or forgot to hydrate after an early morning workout. The body does not wait for dramatic warning signs. It reacts immediately to preserve balance. Yet few realize just how precisely engineered these responses are. The brain stands at the center of it all, deploying specialized sensors that act like vigilant watchtowers monitoring every drop of fluid passing by. These structures sit outside the usual protective blood-brain barrier, allowing them to sample the blood directly and sound the alarm the instant salinity rises to dangerous levels. The craving for water that hits you feels urgent and all-consuming. Yet science reveals it is partly a calculated illusion crafted for your protection. Receptors in the mouth and esophagus fire off inhibitory signals the moment you begin to drink. This anticipatory thirst reflex shuts down the urge long before the water even reaches the bloodstream. The mechanism prevents a sudden flood that could overwhelm your system and cause its own set of problems. It is a brilliant safeguard, one that demonstrates how the body anticipates trouble before it fully arrives. Still, the crisis continues unfolding on multiple fronts at once, and the next layer reveals how your kidneys step into overdrive to ration every precious drop. Deep inside the brain, the hypothalamus triggers the release of vasopressin from the pituitary gland. This hormone travels straight to the kidneys, where it binds to specific receptors on the cells lining the renal tubules. A precise intracellular cascade follows, driven by cyclic adenosine monophosphate. Tiny vesicles carrying aquaporin 2 water channels rush to the cell membranes and embed themselves like microscopic floodgates. These channels transform the normally impermeable walls of the collecting ducts into highly permeable sponges. The kidneys then reclaim up to 99% of the water that would otherwise be lost in urine. The result is a dark amber, highly concentrated liquid that can reach 1200 milliosmoles per kilogram. It serves as a visible record of the body's desperate conservation effort. Yet sustained high levels of vasopressin can lead to tissue remodeling and interstitial fibrosis in the kidneys over time, highlighting why chronic dehydration carries lasting consequences that extend far beyond a single day of discomfort. Meanwhile, the brain itself, which consists of nearly 80% water, begins to lose volume and literally shrink away from the inner surface of the skull. This retraction creates powerful mechanical traction on the dura mater, the tough membrane that anchors the brain in place. Bridging veins stretch taut, and pain-sensitive nociceptors fire relentlessly. The outcome is that familiar throbbing headache, a direct result of physical pulling rather than any external injury. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex struggles as its neural networks lose their optimal fluid environment. Neurotransmitters diffuse more slowly across synapses that have grown sluggish. Simple decisions become monumental mental efforts. Focus evaporates, and mental clarity dissolves into fog. You might notice yourself making uncharacteristic mistakes or struggling to concentrate during what should be routine tasks. The body is sending a clear message, yet the full picture of vulnerability only sharpens when the cardiovascular system enters the fray. Blood plasma volume drops sharply with even modest fluid loss. Hematocrit levels spike as the blood grows thicker and more viscous. According to Poiseuille's law, a principle established through careful study of fluid dynamics in vessels, vascular resistance rises in direct proportion to the viscosity of the fluid. A mere 2% drop in total body water can increase that resistance by as much as 15%. The heart must accelerate to push this heavier sludge through narrowing capillaries, resulting in tachycardia and a hollow sense of breathlessness. Oxygen delivery to the brain and muscles falls dramatically. At the capillary level, red blood cells clump together, raising the risk of sluggish flow and even microvascular complications. Thermoregulation falters because thick blood cannot reach the skin surface efficiently, trapping metabolic heat and allowing core temperature to climb. The entire biological engine starts running dry, tearing at its own systems in a frantic fight for survival. Yet the cellular level holds even more astonishing details. When extracellular fluid turns hypertonic, osmotic forces drag water from the intracellular sanctum, leaving cells as shriveled husks. Macromolecular crowding takes over inside this collapsing environment. Proteins lose their protective hydration shells, suffer architectural collapse, and clump together as hydrogen bonds shatter. Intrinsically disordered proteins detect the shift and launch a frantic stress response to help the cell endure the desiccation. These processes unfold continuously, layer upon layer, ensuring the body prioritizes vital functions even as resources dwindle. The specialized neural clusters known as the organum vasculosum of the lamina terminalis and the subfornical organ continue their watchtower duty. As the neurons within them shrink from water loss, their membranes pull open mechanosensitive ion channels called transient receptor potential vanilloid 1 and transient receptor potential vanilloid 4. Calcium ions surge inward, converting physical contraction into a powerful biochemical siren of thirst. In older adults, however, the sensitivity of these sensors often diminishes with age, silencing the internal alarm and leaving individuals without a strong sensation of thirst even during severe dehydration. This vulnerability underscores why hydration awareness becomes especially important for aging populations across the United States. The pituitary gland responds swiftly by releasing more vasopressin, which targets the kidneys once again. The hormone binds to receptors, sparking the cascade that mobilizes aquaporin 2 protein vesicles to the apical membrane. Water floods back into the bloodstream, reducing urine output to a caustic, concentrated sludge. This physiological hoarding protects immediate survival but subjects renal tissues to immense osmotic pressure. If the condition persists, irreversible interstitial fibrosis can develop, reminding us that the body's short-term brilliance comes with long-term costs when signals are ignored. The brain's shrinkage exerts ruthless traction on bridging veins and the dura mater. Nociceptors in the meninges generate that relentless throbbing headache. Cerebral blood vessels dilate reflexively to maintain oxygen supply despite falling systemic pressure, forcing blood to pump harder against the stretched tissues. The prefrontal cortex stutters further, its electrical signals slowed by the loss of aqueous support for neurotransmitter diffusion. Cognitive clarity fades into confusion, affecting everything from work performance to personal safety. A 2% drop in body weight from fluid loss can slash blood plasma volume by 10%. Hemoconcentration drives hematocrit to dangerous heights. Vascular resistance climbs according to Poiseuille's law, skyrocketing the heart's afterload. The myocardial muscle contracts with exhausting force to circulate the thickened blood. Stroke volume plummets, producing rapid, fluttering tachycardia as the oxygen transport system buckles under the physical weight of its own fluid. Throughout this entire sequence, the body operates as a sophisticated survival machine, balancing conservation with protection in ways that continue to fascinate researchers worldwide. Studies in physiology and neuroscience have mapped these pathways with increasing precision, revealing how even mild dehydration disrupts executive function, mood, and physical endurance. In the American context, where demanding workdays, intense exercise culture, and variable climates from deserts to humid coasts make adequate hydration a daily challenge, these mechanisms highlight a universal truth: prevention remains far more effective than recovery. The consequences of ignoring early signals can range from reduced productivity and impaired decision-making to serious medical events such as heat exhaustion or exacerbated chronic conditions. But the narrative reaches its most compelling turn when one recognizes that the body does not merely endure this crisis. It deploys elegant, multi-layered defenses that prioritize life at every step. The anticipatory thirst reflex prevents overhydration. The kidney's aquaporin 2 channels demonstrate extraordinary efficiency in water reclamation. The brain's osmosensors provide real-time monitoring without relying on indirect cues. These features illustrate a level of internal intelligence that operates silently yet relentlessly. And here lies the profound insight that transforms understanding into action. From the body's remarkable response to dehydration, two powerful lessons emerge that anyone can apply to daily life. First, proactive preparation pays dividends in every arena. Just as the body anticipates fluid needs and conserves resources before a full crisis erupts, individuals benefit enormously by building habits of regular hydration throughout the day rather than waiting for thirst to strike. This discipline enhances focus, energy, and resilience, whether navigating a high-pressure career or maintaining wellness during family responsibilities. Second, the body's capacity for efficient adaptation and resource management inspires us to cultivate patience and persistence when facing challenges. Cells endure macromolecular crowding and launch stress responses to survive temporary hardship, teaching that endurance paired with smart conservation leads to stronger outcomes. By listening closely to subtle bodily signals and responding early, people can achieve greater mental clarity, physical vitality, and overall well-being in an often demanding world. In conclusion, staying hydrated is not a minor habit but a foundational strategy for thriving. Make it a point to drink water consistently, monitor the color of your urine as a simple gauge, and remain mindful during exercise or hot weather. These small choices preserve the intricate balance that keeps every system functioning at its best. We extend our deepest gratitude to the dedicated scientists and researchers whose tireless efforts in physiology, neuroscience, and renal biology have illuminated these remarkable mechanisms of the human body. Their contributions continue to advance our collective knowledge and empower healthier lives for all of humanity.